I have three questions based upon some people I've met.
Okay.
First question is, three questions. The first one is, have you ever been arrested and convicted for murder?
Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
Very specific.
Yes.
The second one is, have you ever been abducted by aliens more than once?
Wow.
And the third is, do you or have you currently owned a swingers estate? So I'm gonna leave that all to you.
Wait. So an estate, not like a house or a crib, an estate.
An estate.
So if someone has a swingers cabin, it's okay. But if it's an estate, that's
So
I got a campus.
5,
4,
3.
2,
1.
it's SoSo Juv in the building. Welcome to another episode of the My 5 Cents podcast. Let me go ahead and introduce the characters, the cast of characters.
Get it out. You should be using this by now.
I know. It's like, I don't know, allergy season. I don't know. I'm all tongue-tied. I'm in a new city, y'all. New city. So it's throwing me all off. But to my diagonal bottom over there, I got HLS.
Habitual Line Stepper is here. What's up, everybody?
Hey, man. How you doing, man? You look good.
Yo, I'm trying to every episode
Refreshed,
I'm trying to figure out this new background. So
A new powder you got in your face is helping.
that's my new glow. It's actually a glazed donut. Oh, sorry, powdered donut. That's what you see.
And to my left, I got the logical genius.
What's going on, folks? Ready for another episode?
All right. And welcome to another episode of the My 5 Cents podcast. Oh, fellas, you know, we've been doing this thing for a little bit. I think we've gone completely international. We
have.
You know, we put up on the Instagram because we don't brag on ourselves about some of the rankings that we've achieved. You know, Bermuda, shout out to my Bermudians out there. Once again, our Filipinos, definitely shout out. But we could add 2 more to the list. We ended up getting rankings over in Singapore. So
Shout out to Singapore.
Yeah.
Shout out to Singapore. And then to South Africa. So
Shout out to South Africa.
Yeah,
you know, people don't believe us in the United States, but internationally we are known.
but we're known.
Yes.
Ask about us internationally, people. Oh my goodness. So, HLS, I do have a question for you.
What's up?
It's been a few. I haven't heard any talk about sliding in your DM. What's going on? Love hurts? What's happening?
It's been slow. It's been slow lately. But it's gonna pick back up soon. I'm sure. It's holiday season. Everyone wants to shout out to HLS during the holiday season.
Okay. So no sliding in the DMs, and we may need some support. So we have the perfect guest to help us with that support. This person is the founder of True Love Knots, a program she created specifically to help those looking for love later in life. HLS, an ordained minister,
Much later.
and highly sought after professional speaker. She has performed over 3,000 marriages. More importantly, she knows how difficult starting over can be from her deeply personal experience. After being married to the love of her life for 33 years, her husband passed away, and she suddenly went from the perfect +1 to just one. Life changed forever for Maria, and she was left to pick up the pieces of her life. And she is here to help us pick the pieces for my listeners, your listeners, our listeners out there. Please welcome to the show, Maria Romano. Welcome.
Hey, Maria, what's up? Thank you for being on.
Virtual kisses, virtual hugs, high five, and you guess what? You're not going to catch anything from me. Oh gosh, okay, that just went out for a second. Anyway.
Yeah, so that's one of the benefits.
So you got to give him the backstory that we met at the podcast.
Yes. So how we got here together today is I was at one of the breakout sessions at the podcast movement in Las Vegas, and right behind me, directly behind me, the lovely Maria Romano was sitting there, and we ended up having some chit chat. Had this heavy belt on me, and she was probably like, "What the heck are you doing walking around
Not the
with this
belt.
belt?
Not
Not
the
the
belt.
belt. Like, why do you got the belt out?" And we had a little bit of a conversation, and she reached out, and we are here today because of that right there. Is that how you remember it, Maria? What was your perspective on
No,
it?
I remember I said, oh, just let me give him my card. Listen, this is what it's all about, is networking, right? Same
Yes.
thing with dating. It's networking. That's all it is. And I figured, what have I got to lose? That belt was interesting. It looked like a heavyweight, like a championship belt. I mean, it must have weighed you down.
I got them shoulders. I can handle that. For these other guys, they might have struggled with it, but for me, I got the shoulders. It's all
He wears the
it's
belt,
all
I wear the
good.
crown. That's how it
You
works.
wear the crown, okay.
Yeah.
Nice one, Nacho.
Very good. Well, I think that might have been one of your best ones there.
I
Lacho.
think is the best one.
It's always
Definitely.
best. Everything that's best for me.
So I have a
Mar-
question. Wait, I have to ask you something. So HLS, so you're looking for love? Is that why they're teasing you?
Always.
Well, let's be clear. Let's be clear.
Let's be clear, because we want no trouble.
Yeah. No trouble.
I don't look for love. Love finds me.
Okay.
I just want to put
Okay,
that.
he's already fine. He's already forget that trouble talk. Forget the trouble talk. He already
Well,
found trouble.
we tried to save him.
Yeah, gotta save him.
Are you?
No, but these guys tease me. It's part of their. They have nothing else better to do besides find a way to get at me. It's just our banter. Don't pay any mind to it.
No, okay. I thought maybe you were the single one in the group, so we can talk. I can. You can ask-
He can help you out.
I'll put the group business industry. All of us are attached.
Okay,
Yes.
that's
We
nice,
are.
to know,
We are.
and that's great. Kudos
Happily
to you.
attached. Happily attached.
Yes,
That's
everybody's happy. We all
Yeah,
happy.
yeah. Everybody's happy. Everybody's
Yeah.
happy.
Never been sad a day of my life in this
Not
relationship.
once. Not one sad day.
But we'll talk off camera.
So, Maria, let me start you off with our warm-up question, which is, what is your superpower and how has it assisted you in your journey?
Well, you know what I think? It's interesting that you asked that question, because I think what my superpower is I feel that I have intuition to really read and look into people. Okay, especially people that come to me that are looking to get married. I feel like their hearts are open and I'm able to read them. But also at the same time, because of my life experiences, because guys, I am like much, much, much older than you, all of
Stop
you,
it.
a lot older. I think as you go through life, you develop a wisdom and an innate ability to read people, just depending upon their circumstances. And today, there's a lot of people out there that are lonely. So that's what I think my superpower is: helping people get over that loneliness and recognize that you're really never alone.
So, to piggyback off of that, you talk about reading people. In the way the world is set up with kind of these virtual social media dating apps, how do you keep that capability to be able to read people when you're in a digital space where you could potentially be catfished?
Well, it's interesting. I call that digital marketing. That's what you're doing. You're
Okay.
marketing yourself on digital, right? Digital platform. And I am single. I've been a widow for 11 years, and I'm back in the dating world. And it's interesting because you have to be able to weed through the profiles that you're seeing. And not for anything, and I'm not picking on the guys out there, but I'm going to just share something with you. Some of your pictures, oh my God. Okay, what were you thinking? You're showing me your triple chin. I don't want to see your boobies. Okay?
Oh, that's all they're showing you. Okay, I thought we were talking about other things.
Seriously, but you know what? That's what you have to weed through. And some people are probably fabulous, but they need to remember that just like a resume, so is your dating profile.
I'm glad you said that, because I often say, like, people going on dates is like a job interview, right?
It's true.
And
It's true.
I feel like sometimes in these job interviews, people lie, right? They may boost up their credentials and resume and experience a little bit and say, yeah, I have experience through X, Y, and Z. People do the same thing when they're dating. I feel like sometimes they may, spruce up themselves a little bit, and then as they get into deeper into the relationship, like, things change, but they don't really change. Just things get revealed, and then people always end up like this statement that always comes out is, "You're not the person I met." You're not the same person I met years ago, which
Yeah,
because you're not, because that first person you met was a job interview, and they were lying a little bit, I guess.
yeah. You meet the representative. I think that's what the term is, right?
Yeah,
That is true. And you know what? It's interesting because, everybody, they show up and they want to put on their best
you want to
version.
impress, exactly.
Absolutely. And it happens too on a first meet and greet, or even if it's a virtual meet and greet. And the thing is, you know what? You really need to have some transparency. Yes, we're going to be on our best behavior. Yes, we're going to try to look our best. And then later on in the relationship, there are things that you uncover, but that's why you get to know each other. That's why you take time. That's why you don't rush into something. And I marry people all over the world. And I marry some people, they've been on this journey, they meet somebody, and boom, they're married in 3 months. Others could be 30 years they take with that same person. But the longer you get to spend with somebody and go through 4 seasons at least, gives you an idea.
Now, you said you read people. You're very good at that, and you married people all over the world. Have you ever read someone's energy during the wedding proceeds and thought, "Oh, this is not going to last"?
Oh, of course. I mean,
So what do you do? Do you
But
say
do you
something?
say something? Or do you
that's
keep
not
your-
my job. No, no, no. Listen, what I'm there for is they're in love, right?
Okay.
I'm contracted through different properties to show up as
Okay.
a wedding officiant. And when that couple shares with me their love story, and I look at them and think, okay, am I thinking good luck? But you know what? It's their journey. They're in love. That day, that moment, they are on a high. Who am I to burst their bubble and say, honey, I don't think you're gonna make it, darling?
Wow. What,
And
what are you What are you seeing in those moments when someone is in love, professing their love in front of family and friends? What are you seeing in their energy that you could read that makes you say, "I don't know about this one"?
yeah, you know what you see? And that's a really good question that you ask him, because what you see is they're just caught up in the moment. It's about the day. And I think,
Hi.
yeah, that high. And what happens, that dopamine kicks in when you meet somebody. It's a drug. And, for the first few months, that's what you're on. So it's an addiction. So you're not seeing past it. When everything settles, you're really not, when the dust settles, it doesn't mean you might not be in love with the person or like the person, but that's when those rose colored glasses come off. And you could just see it's almost like a fairy tale, a fantasy land. They'll come in and say, well, our family doesn't know. We're just doing this because we just don't want any, they don't want to hear any feedback. And that's okay. That's their choice. And the thing is, statistically, you got to look at today, 50% of marriages end up in divorce.
That's a high
Oh,
percentage.
And when they remarry, 75% end up in divorce.
really? I didn't know
Wow.
about the second number.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know
you
about
get
that
out
one
there.
either.
Wow.
You better have your blank together. I don't want to curse in
So
the
then
show.
By all
the
means.
third marriage, you're at the 99 percentile probably at this point. I mean,
Wait.
man.
So 50%. Wait, hold on. So 50% of the people that get married divorced. That percentage of people who remarry, 75% of those
75% of
people who
them.
remarry.
Goes up.
Wow.
Do you think that's because they're like that whole stigma of getting a divorce is no longer an issue? Where they're like, you know what, I dealt with this type of relation and I left that one, I ended that one. I have no issues with ending this one because not. I mean, I don't know if it's that bad nowadays, but there's always that stigma behind divorce, right? Behind
Yeah,
getting a divorce, and people are like, I don't want to go through it. It's an embarrassment. I failed, etc.
yeah,
But
yeah.
once it's happened, and you're like, no, I have no problems doing it again.
I can remember when I was a young kid in Holy Rosary High School in the Bronx, no, school, not high school. I was in grammar school in the Bronx, and I was 8 years old. It was in the 60s, and my parents were getting divorced, and people were looking at me, the young people. That was a stigma. In the 60s, that was a stigma. Okay, nowadays, it's not a big deal. And it isn't a big deal. But you know what? It really doesn't matter. And when you enter into a commitment, whether it's legal or not, it's a commitment. It's a partnership. If you go into a business partnership, right?
Yeah.
You expect certain things from each other. The same thing when it comes to a relationship. You expect certain things. And people wind up getting married because they feel like, well, now my partner is going to stay faithful to me, or now my partner's going to, and that's a fallacy. They should they should already have that integrity within them when they come to the relationship. So what happens is you really just need to do work on yourself when you get back out there, so you don't attract or make the same mistakes over and over. And I see this all the time, all the time.
So you're saying you have to treat relationships as a business relationship? That
Yes. Let me tell you, when you think about it, think about what I'm saying. I'm going to say, but because when you go into a partnership with somebody, right, or even if you go to work for a large company, there's an agreement.
Mhm.
You have what you have you're responsible for, and they do, and then you come together as a team. The same thing, the same difference. You're a team. There's no I in team,
Mhm.
but also you each have your own responsibilities, and you also, there is you have a what's the word that I'm looking for? You you have a responsibility to that business, correct? To perform whatever it is, and you're loyal to them at that point in time. Let's say you opened up a business with one of your friends. You're just not going to go take off. You have a responsibility to each other. Well, the same thing happens in a relationship.
Wow.
It's interesting. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
So I find that people will say that, like, for the first time you marry for love, the second time it's for money. Like, is there any credence? Is that like the evidence? Is that why, like, that
That's why
second time is so much
75%.
higher? Like,
Okay,
I'm trying to make it make
I
sense
think
that
they
you went
married for the money the first time. I love the second
Uh,
time. Some people. No,
oh my
you know what? That's interesting because I do marry people that I have to tell you, I just did a vow renewal today. This gentleman, his wife was originally from the Dominican Republic. They met there, and they've been married 5 years. She's absolutely gorgeous, and he's an older man, much older gentleman. So obviously, she must find something attractive about him. Maybe it's earlobe, maybe it's the earlobe. I don't know, but whatever it is. So, but
Wow.
I can tell you, as a woman, when you are myself, I can tell you this: that when I got back in the dating world, it was very interesting. One of the gentlemen I went on a date with, he brings out his folder. He says, and he has these pictures of these people that he had on Match. He says, "Okay, so let me find your profile." This is what he said. He was an older gentleman. He was much older than his pictures, so I was very disappointed. And he says, "Now he says, I can offer you jewelry. I can offer you a house." If I'm going to myself, no sale. This is not. I'm not going to sell myself. So there are people that do that, and there are women that do that with men. What can I tell you?
What are your
So
thoughts? No, go ahead, So.
yeah. So how long did it take for you to get back into the dating world?
So I was married 33 years. Yeah, it was. I did not get back into the dating world. So Frank passed away in 2012, and I was 57. So at that time, I waited a couple of years. I really didn't start dating until I was 59. When I think about that, yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm not sick. I'm 68, so it's 50. Yeah, maybe it's 55. Oh, it's 55. That's right. It's got to go back. I'm dating myself. I'm 68 now. Anyway, the point is, my whole point is it took me time to move on.
Mhm.
And then when I got back in the dating world, oh my God, because I just figured, okay, I'm dating. People will just knock on my door and show up. It's like looking for a job. They're not going to go sending you something right in your inbox. You got to get out there. So I had to learn how to, and everybody kept saying, get online, and you hear all these horror stories. Well, you know what? Online is a great way of meeting people, and over 50% of the people that I marry, they meet online.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, a lot of them on Tinder. So Tinder's just not a hookup site. That happens to be pretty popular, besides Match and Plenty of Fish and Okay Cupid. So with that said, when I got back, it was just I made some wrong choices when I went to meet people for coffee. So as a result, before I go on a first date with somebody, I have 3 questions based upon some people I've met.
Okay.
First
Interesting.
question is, 3 questions. The first one is, have you ever been arrested and convicted for murder?
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Very specific.
Yes.
The
Yes.
second one is, have you ever been abducted by aliens more than once?
Wow.
And the third is, do you or have you currently owned a swingers estate? So I'm gonna leave that all to you.
Wait. So an estate, not like a house or a crib, an estate.
An estate.
So if someone has a swingers cabin, it's okay. But if it's an estate, that's
So
red
I
flags.
I got
went
a
on
campus.
3 different dates throughout that couple, and one guy he was arrested and convicted for murder too. He said that's why he wears glasses in his eye. I'm going, oh my God, Maria, how do I get myself going on a coffee date?
Wow.
The second guy, I went out with him twice, and that's when he told me he was abducted by aliens twice and someone's daughter. And I said, this is not going to work.
But,
Really. And the third, and again, I mean, you go on a lot of different days. The third said, he says, I do own a swingers estate. He says, you might want to come out and try it. I said, I don't want a community pee-pee, but that's okay.
Community PP. Oh no. Not that.
You're going to find that mix, and then you just have to weed your way through. And it just takes time. It really takes doing work on yourself.
True. Hey, speaking of dating, one question. We had a show last year, things not to do on a date.
Yes.
What are your thoughts of someone spending too much time in the bathroom on a date? Is that like a red flag for you?
Either they have colitis or they're busy looking at their phone talking to somebody else.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a big red flag. Absolutely.
Okay.
That is
Okay.
rude. Actually, there's a term called phubbing, which is your phone. You shouldn't even have your phone out. And your phone, it doesn't matter. They say if your phone's turned even upside down on the table, it's still rude. Put it away. Put it away.
Okay.
Okay. I learned a new.
45 minutes, an hour at the most. I think the first meet and greet shouldn't really be any longer than that. So the point is, put it away.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you talking about the online dating and it being such an excellent source to, find a date. I got totally bashed in a previous episode about that advice there, but it's by these two gentlemen. So thank you so much for validating my point, which excites me about getting into the next point that we're going to make, which is our topic for today. And shoot, someone else tell me, what is the topic for today? Because I have no idea at this point.
Go ahead, HLS.
So insight into the minds of the My 5 Cents podcast. We debated the right way to call this topic back and forth 16 ways till Sunday. The topic for today, so everybody is clear, is things that you need to bring to the table post a divorce. So if you want to get back into the dating world,
clarify that. Come on, HLS. Be more specific.
then tell me
You
what
just
it
changed it again.
Tell me what it is.
LOD. You came up with a nice, nasty.
Yeah, well, LOD is the initials, the acronym for Love After Divorce.
Okay, that's all you have to say.
Love After Divorce.
Love after divorce. That is the topic for today. See, this is why. Oh, my goodness.
I need to let the audience know what's happening here.
Yeah.
We'll try to make that make sense.
Love after divorce. All right, I'm ready. I'm bracing.
Logical genius. Please explain to Maria what is going to happen next.
Okay, Maria. We've established your credibility for our listeners. So you know about relationships. You've been in relationships. You're dating now. So you're the guru that we need to talk to, because HLS SoSo Juv and I have to debate this topic to finding love after divorce, right? And HLS, SoSo Juv, and I are each going to present you our list of our top 5. Man, what a person needs to bring to the table after a divorce, aka LOD, for you to decide which one of us has the best list. And I feel like the confusion of the topic, the list might be all over the place with everyone's misunderstanding of what we're supposed to be talking about. So we'll do our best to kind of keep things in order and not drive you crazy with the randomness. But you being our judge gets to decide who goes first, who goes
Okay.
second, who goes third, and at the end of it, we'll have a little cross examination where you can ask us questions. We can poke holes at each other's lists. And then ultimately, we need you, Maria, to tell us which one of us has the best list, starting with third place. We skip second place because we don't care about second place and we want the first place winner.
Okay, so all three of you are going to share with me what you think you need to
Yes.
bring to the table. I think what you shouldn't bring to the table, but that's okay.
That's too easy. That's too easy,
That's
That,
maybe.
sweet.
that's going to be on the
So,
sequel
okay,
to this
I have
episode.
Yeah,
no,
there you go.
I have no problem. Okay,
Yeah.
so I get to choose first.
Well, before
Now,
you do that,
First,
Maria, there's a lot of things, and you said when you're dating, you have three criteria, right?
Right.
Swingers are no, aliens are no, and felons are no. But for this, whatever criteria you want, completely up to you. You might like the fact that none of us have been divorced, and that's why you choose SoSo, Logical, or myself.
you might like the fact that if there's probably going to be one of us that ends up divorced, it might be me. So you might feel bad.
Okay. So wait a second, guys. So wait, I'm gonna pick who's gonna go first.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with the logical first because why not?
Why not? It's the logical choice.
Right.
All right, Maria. I go first. I usually end up first sometimes. Um, that's my disclaimer sometimes.
Let's hear. Okay.
So, Maria, relationships are complicated. You know this. We all know this. We've had our fair share of relationships. But for this topic, what a person needs to bring to the table after divorce, here are my top five. At number five, I think you have to start with closure, right? You have to bookend and fully close your last relationship. And now this, when I say closure, it doesn't mean, oh hey, my relationship ended in a divorce. Okay, next, on to the next one. No, you have to have a clear understanding about what went wrong and why it went wrong, so you can move on. Right? It's about moving on, being able to move on. So if you don't have that full closure, you don't have that sense of completion and release from that past relationship. So that's number five for me. Is closure. At number four, I have honesty and transparency. It's about communication, right? It's about everyone has baggage. Everyone brings baggage to a relationship. And you have to be clear and open to your new partner or your new relationship about all the things that occurred in your past relationship, and that'll help this new person understand how you are, why you are, because all of that shapes who you are, right? All your past experiences shapes who you are as a person, good or bad. So I think open communication, transparency, honesty, I think that has to be clear. I think that's true for any and all relationships, not just in a relationship where you just came out of a divorce. At number three, and I strongly subscribe to this, is you have to have a good sense of humor. I think when you are able to laugh and find humor in life, even through tragedy, even through hard times, it does something for you, right? It improves your mentality. Not everything is dark. Not everything has to be dark. So having that sense of, yes, you've been through a divorce, and yes, it was a bad time. Maybe it ended badly. Maybe it was a good thing. But to find some sort of humor in that experience, or some laughter in that experience, I think that'll help you going forward. And I think humor in general of a person who is humorous, who is funny, I think that makes them more of an attractive person in my eyes. At number two, I think it's easier said than done, but I think you have to be willing to find love again, right? You have to be willing to open your heart and allow yourself to be loved and love someone else. Because again, coming from divorce, it's not necessarily a good thing. Maybe the divorce happened for a reason, and it had to happen, but it's not a good thing. I don't know how many people say, "Yes, I got a divorce," unless that person was rich and you got half of their money, then okay. But I think you have to be willing, especially in a divorce that was bad and it was a bad relationship. You have to be willing to love and be willing to trust someone and let them into your heart. That's number two for me. And number one, I think the only thing a person has to bring to a relationship is yourself, right? The perfect person is going to love you for who you are, right? And your qualities. It doesn't matter. You don't have to put up a front for them. We talked about job interviews and resumes and stuff like that, but you have to find that person that's going to love you for you, right? So you don't want to change yourself for someone else. So you have to start with self love and accepting who you are as a person. And once you can do that, I think it makes it easier for someone else to accept you and for you to love again. And Maria, those are my top five.
Love them. Love them. All right. So let's go to SoSo.
In the building. All right. So my delivery is a little bit different from the logical genius, but I'm gonna go ahead and get into my 5 cents on the matter here. And at number 5, it is leave the ring at home. Nobody want to hear about your last relationship or how bad your marriage was. I mean, if you talk about it enough, the person may agree with the person that left you and said, like, hey, you know what? This was probably a right decision on that behalf. So please do not bring the baggage with you. At number 4, I'm going to say follow your gut. You got to bring your gut to the table because you followed your heart the first time and it got you divorced. So we don't want to go that route. Let's follow our gut this time. So when the red flags pop up, let's listen to those red flags, please. Up next is you got to have hobbies. Hobbies, it's twofold. One, you get to know about yourself and what is good for you, and then you can find someone that shares in that passion. So you definitely want hobbies to be something that you bring to the table. Next up is you built this great wall because you got divorced. You now have to open the door. Open the door for love. Let love have a chance inside of that icebox that you just got frozen over. And at number 1, and I'll say this is the first time in the history of the show that I've ever done this, but I had to switch up my list. And at number 1, you have to have money. Because I don't know if y'all were listening, people, but 55% of people get divorced. That's half. And then it increases to 75%. That's another half. That is not a good success rate, people. So I'm sorry. Love after divorce, if you're going for it, you got to have a little bit of cash because you might be strapped when it's all said and done. And that, Maria, is my 5 cents on the topic. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, you're going into the second one with the with the mindset of like, it's probably gonna fail again.
Yeah, I learned something today. My eyes, when I tell you that shocked me today, that absolutely shocked
Eyes
me.
wide open.
Yeah,
Oh,
wide open.
boy.
So number 1, I had to ditch my number 1 and said, no. The new number 1 is money.
Eyes wide open, wallet tightly shut.
Yeah.
Yeah, tightly shut.
Well, I guess that leaves best for last.
You said it. You said it, Maria. The best for last. Now, thankfully, I've never been divorced, but I have been in that relationship, so I feel like I know a thing or two. So number 5, SoSo Juv kind of said it one way. I think mine is a little bit broader. You have to find happiness again. You have to find what makes you happy, right? He said it's a hobby, but sometimes it's bigger than that. Sometimes it's just being able to laugh by yourself, with yourself. What makes you happy? Because happiness is contagious. That's what I believe. At number 4, you need emotional intelligence. Logical Genius said closure. I get that, but it's different. It's not just about talking about your ex or not talking about your exes. How are you representing yourself? How are you coming to the table? Are you able to listen and feel compassion for someone who is struggling, who has a hard time maybe dating because of their kids, or SoSo Juv said because they have no more money to date? Or do you have the emotional intelligence, emotional bandwidth to be with someone post divorce? And number 3, you have to be vulnerable. We've all been hurt. We're all trying in this dating world again. You have to be open. You have to be vulnerable to love, to be able to receive love and give love. And number two, if you don't have money, you have to have security. You have to make the other person feel secure. Secure that I'm not going to take your money. Maybe you have to have a prenup or something. Who knows? But you have to have security. You have to give someone that security. Say, hey, listen, you and I were in this together for the long haul. And make them believe it. And number one, it's obvious. I mean, you've said it 16 ways till Sunday. Patience. What's the rush? Take time to get to know someone. Do 4 seasons. Anything you need to do to establish that patience to say, hey, listen, there's no rush. Let's just spend time together. Let's go for a walk, see a movie. Let's just get coffee. And just let that evolve over time. And over time, you're going to realize whether this person is right for you and you're going to be part of the other 50%, or you see the red flags and you say, listen, let me not be a statistic. And that is my 5 cents. The things you need to bring when you're back in the dating world. LOD, love after divorce.
Love after divorce. Gosh. I mean,
Now, I'm still confused about so we keep saying LOD, but love after, isn't it LAD?
Oh,
You're right.
I don't understand what we are doing this. We've been saying LOD.
LOD.
You know, all of you guys agreed to it too.
Yeah. Folks, we talked about this in the last episode. We do not allow HLS to book guests. We do not allow him to come up with the topic.
You guys agreed to it. You guys just all agreed to
That's
it.
our bad. That's our fault for agreeing to it. We should have known better. Damn it.
Jedi mind you guys need to be paying attention.
The first time you said it, I was trying to calculate. I was like, the LO, I don't know where the O is coming from. Maybe it's from the love, because love is LO. And I was like, dang, that's real kind of crazy. But hey,
Oh my
LJD
goodness.
people,
I'm so glad you caught that. So.
yeah, hey. So Maria, we're getting into a segment that we like to call cross-examination. Do you have any questions for us on our list to give you more clarity in your judgment?
well, okay, so let's talk a little bit about honesty. So let's go back to the logical genius here, number 4, right?
Mhm.
When you say honesty, what do you mean? Expands on that a little bit. Does that mean you share everything? Right, the first date? What's your
Well,
thought?
no, it's not the first date. I mean, obviously, honesty comes and trust comes over time, right? But honesty in the sense that you're not trying to hide too many things from a relationship. Everyone comes to a relationship with baggage, right? Everyone has their skeletons in their closet. Unlike some of your 3 questions about a murderer. I don't know if you want to reveal that ever, but especially if you want to be in another relationship, right? I don't think you want to tell somebody that you were convicted for murder, but you have to be open. You have to be open about being a divorcee, I guess. Is it divorcee? Right? So you have to let them know
Divorcee.
that you were in divorcee. Thank you. You were in the past relationship and they've been divorced, because I think that will shape the relationship going forward and help the person that you're in a relationship with kind of understand where some of the things, or some of the maybe the distrust, or the hesitancy comes into play because you had a bad experience in a past relationship.
Okay. And I love the part about sense of humor, but let's go on to SoSo here. Do I have questions? Okay. So when you say hobbies, do you mean that that person has to have the identical hobbies that you have? I mean, that's
No.
not necessarily the case.
Yeah, so I think that sometimes in relationships, in marriages, you may lose yourself as who you are as a person, right? Because you have sacrificed for your spouse, or you have sacrificed for your children, and you've gotten away from things that was internally you. Like you used to make jewelry, or you used to write poetry, and you don't do those things anymore. So I think coming out of a situation where you may be divorced, and before you get into love again, go back to those core passions that you liked to do before. Go ahead and write some poetry, go ahead and make some jewelry, so that you can reinvigorate yourself.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for answering that for me. And then HLS here as we talk about LAD, love after divorce.
Yes.
LAD
It's,
people.
yes, LAD. So expands upon the happiness portion when you say happy, like you said,
Yeah,
I think
so
it's important.
kind of like what SoSo Juv said, but again bigger. It's not for me. It's not just about hobbies. Sometimes it's the simple things like going for a walk, right? Smelling the fresh air and dancing in the rain. Like the simple things that we used to do as kids when we had no
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 worries.
concept of the troubles of the world. What are some simple things that just made us happy as people, right? How many times have I mean? Let me speak for myself. I've seen people, and I think I was out with SoSo Juv once before, and we went out to a club a couple years ago, and I'm like, yo, that guy is so old. And I'm like, yo, I would never want to be in the club when I'm his age. I'm like, yo, what is he doing? And that SoSo Juv told me, he's like, yo, he's living his best life. And that's it right there. That was it. He's just out, happy, finding his joy, listening to music, dancing by himself to a little music in his head. And once you're happy, it just radiates. I believe it radiates.
Okay, so now I have to make a decision. Is that what you're saying? I have to pick.
Well, before
Not
Not
just
yet.
yet.
decision
Not
time,
just yet.
Next
yeah,
We're going to give you a
log-
little more time to process, a little more information to digest
yes,
as you consider who's number one.
yes. Logical genius. Do you have anything for cross examination?
Oh,
I
that's
I do. Yeah. So we're gonna try to poke some holes in each other's lists to maybe sway your favor. I have a question for you, HLS. Your number four. You said emotional intelligence.
Correct.
Are you saying the way you said it? I don't obviously remember the exact words, but
Mm-hmm.
it sounded like you were taking the approach or the angle from the other person, like the person who is getting into a relationship with someone who was just in a divorce and not the person who just came out of the divorce. Is that what you're trying to say? The emotional intelligence part?
No, emotional intelligence in the sense where, listen, we've both been hurt, right? We're both, well, maybe just one person is divorced. Who knows?
Mhm.
But I've been divorced. I'm hurt. This person is innocent. This person has nothing to do with my ex. There's no conspiracy. I need to be able to be smart enough and healed enough to say I'm going to give this a fresh start, right? I need to have the emotional intelligence to be like, hey, listen, this person is not ghosting me as kids do. They're out on a date because they want to be with me. They're not flubbing me. They're not ghosting me. They're not all these other slang terms these kids are using this day. No, they want to be with me, and I need to be able to accept that and be open to love. Emotional intelligence.
Okay. For me, for my cross examination, ah, one, I just need to clarify, HLS. You keep saying it's like what SoSo Juv said. You said that twice now. You said that twice now, but
Oh,
you said only bigger. I want to correct you. You mean only vaguer. Your situation is more vague than what I am saying. So please don't correlate your nonsense into what I've been saying. Now, my true cross-examination is for the logical genius. And I'm gonna kind of piggyback on the honesty. I think that a problem that some people have is oversharing. Like, I don't want to hear about how you ran a train with the football team. Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, you don't need to tell me all
oh
that. I don't
man.
need that kind of
Do not
honesty.
slut shame, SoSo Juv. Do not slut shame.
Yeah.
Wait, did I just say
First
the
of
wrong
all,
word?
it,
I shouldn't say slut
I,
shame.
I'm glad you raised that because when you said your number five, I saw the contrast in what you were saying versus what I was saying, and uh, you have to have honesty in a relationship, right? I'm not saying be transparent and give 1,010% of everything you are, right? Maybe you'll get to that, but even in the best relationships, you may never ever reach that full transparency, right? I don't, and it's tough, but I think you have to have some form of honesty about your past relationship, how that went down. If you got into a relationship with someone who was in divorce, and that person kept everything from you about their past relationship and what went down or whatever, you as that person won't be able to fully understand who you're with, right? Because they have these secrets that they are not willing to reveal about past relationship, and it makes you wonder why certain things are happening, but you don't know, you can't pinpoint it because it's tied to that past relationship that they are not willing to talk about and not willing to share. And I think that ties into like my first thing or my number five, which is closure, right? Because if the person isn't willing to share all this information, I don't think they've gone through that closure part and they've been able to move on from that past relationship. So they're hanging on to that past relationship, not willing to share it, not willing to discuss it, which means that they're probably not ready for another one at this point in time.
Okay.
And
HLS?
SoSo Juv, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about your number one.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a good switch. I mean,
It's a
I'll
funny
say
one, though.
this. Definitely humorous.
It's cute.
But I mean, Jennifer Lopez said it. My love don't cost a thing, right?
Get out of here. You're quoting Jennifer Lopez?
Listen,
Here's the funny thing.
she's not the only one. She's not
Yeah,
the only
but
one.
hold on, but you're not even quoting a statement. You're quoting a song lyric.
The whole song. Ralph Tresvant said it. Said money can't buy you love, right? Not only that. There's a whole movie about it. Can't Buy Me Love with Patrick Dempsey, and they made a remake with Nick Cannon. I mean, it's everywhere. SoSo Juv, it's everywhere. Money can't buy you happiness and love. Please explain number one.
I cannot believe your logic behind this questioning right now. My goodness.
It's true. It's a known thing.
So once again, my switch came from a place of I've been deeply impacted in this recording. So men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So when Maria hit me with that statistic, it has changed the game for me. Because what I've known since Eddie Murphy Raw is I take half. Umfufu will take half from you. So if you get half taken from you the first time around, and there's a 75% chance that the second time around is not going to work out, and another half gets taken, what does that leave you with?
Half of a half of a half?
Yeah, nothing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
but that's what prenups are for. And you're also saying broke people can't be
Here's the thing with that number one. So I think it kind of doesn't. We always say it, right? On this show, we like to help people out, right? We want to help our listeners, right? So the idea behind this is that you know someone who was in a divorce, they're looking to get back into love, and hey, here are the top 5 things that will help you succeed in that next relationship. Succeed. But if you're going with a bag of money, with the understanding, like, yeah, this relationship, since it's number 2, it's probably gonna fail, doesn't really kind of point people into the direction of, yeah, we're gonna help you succeed. It's more like, here's your exit strategy.
Put your money in an offshore account in the Cayman.
Yeah.
I actually disagree with you. It will actually help you be more prudent in your decision making next time around, right? If you know that statistic in your head, you may not go in it full glory. You may be a little bit more picky. You might listen to that gut. Plus the second part, HLS, you being such a frugal person and having this on your list, you talked about security.
Yeah.
Security with money is a big thing. It's a real thing. We can't gloss over it and say that it's not a thing.
Not at all.
How many marriages, and I guess I'll ask you, Maria, like how often is finances a problem in a marriage? We can't pretend, like we can't sit in utopia and pretend like it's not a thing.
And anybody looking for love wants to walk into a relationship where they know the other person is at least halfway secure financially. They don't have to be whole, because you're right. The second time, a lot of people are divorcing more than twice. So I haven't looked at the statistics of what happens when you marry a third time. And I wanted to pop on and do that, but I didn't want to lose you guys.
It's trending downward from what you do.
Well, yes, and you know what? Actually, yes, and I see more and more people where it's third and fourth marriages. So, but I think you're right. I think we have to have some sort of security, something.
So Maria, here we are.
No.
It is decision time. We want to know, who do you have in third place?
Well, I have to tell you, I think all of you came up with some funny, but also important information that I think all of your listeners should take away. All 15 items. Personally, I think they're all important, and you are really saying a lot of the same thing. You're just saying it differently. So I'm going to say for number 3 is going to be you. Sorry.
So.
Wait, who's you?
SoSo Juv. SoSo lose.
Maria, you must be a J-Lo fan. That's like what's happening here. Okay, now it all makes sense because there's no way.
No.
And she's from the Bronx, and I'm from the Bronx.
Oh yeah. Maria from the Bronx. Here we go. Oh man.
All right, so I keep
Oh.
all of them.
She's trying to hit you with a little hammer. She did that so discreetly. Like,
Yeah, it's you. And I was like, wait, who's you? Wait for a second.
Oh gosh.
So, Maria, we want to know who is in first place. We don't care about number 2.
don't care about number 2.
Gosh, it was tough. I got to tell you, all of them were tough. But I have to pick HLN.
Oh, what?
Wow.
And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Happiness is very important. That you're happy with who you are, no matter who you're with, by yourself, and that's the biggest challenge people have today. Is they don't want to be by themselves, so they just grab on anyway. And that to me is something that people don't recognize. You got to be happy with who you are. So,
That was my number 1.
That was very vague.
Yeah, it was very vague. Your delivery sucks.
Oh boy!
My delivery, I had her keeling over laughing. My delivery was on point. I should have won on
I
delivery.
know. I love it. I love. I'll tell you. I really, seriously, all of these are great. All of them are. You had made me pick. So what am I supposed to do?
Marie, you stepped in the right direction. You stepped in the right direction.
You definitely followed your heart and not your gut.
Yeah.
So, Maria,
But I do think gut is important.
yeah.
Things that they were very important. And these are things that people just need to think about. That's all. And what you're doing is you're giving your listeners something to think about when they get out there, because they don't want to be the statistic.
Don't be that statistic. Don't be that 75% or that 99% people.
So, Maria, we want to know, what is your 5 cents on the topic?
Well, okay, on the 5 things that you need to bring to the table before you get ready to find love. Well, the first thing is you need to make sure you have clarity in who you are, okay, and what you want. So just set aside everything about your past relationship. You really need to write down the type of person you think you are and what you're looking for. So those are things that are very important. And then I think the next thing is you have to do some work on yourself, and that could be closure, that could be going for counseling, that could be going to church, being part of a group when you've been with somebody, especially if you have listeners out there that have been married and all of a sudden they're divorced or widower after 2-3 decades. Think about it. It's freaking scary.
Yeah.
Imagine kissing somebody else, right? Imagine somebody else. So that's I think you need to definitely find good support.
And they've been abducted by aliens. Imagine that.
Oh, yeah,
they've been abducted by alien swingers.
That's right. And then number 3 I think is important is that when you get yourself ready, you need to have an open mind. Okay, because you're not going to find perfection. Yeah. And depending upon what age range you're in, a lot of people think we're looking for that Prince Charming, that princess to come through and pass, and that's just not the way it is. And nobody's perfect, so that's why it's important to to be open-minded. And I think that's very important when it comes to getting out there and finding love again. And then we don't have to talk about the baggage, because that's doing work on yourself. That was the number 4, I think, of the other area. And then I also had is get out there and tell everybody that you're looking to find love. Don't just leave it for your, let's say, the dating apps. Maybe in the workplace you can say, I'm looking to meet somebody. I'm looking to meet a partner.
You said put it out there. Advertise.
Let people know. Go to different meetup groups. Don't just limit it to online dating. Online dating is one source. Yeah. It's like you don't send your resume to one company, right? You put it out on Monster, right? You put it out all over. Yeah, and you tell people that you're looking for something. So network with them. And then I think the first thing is you just need to have fun, because it's dating. It's all it is dating as far as I'm concerned. So you got to get out there. You got to have fun and just enjoy yourself. Because you know what? You're going to get clobbered. You're going to feel vulnerable. There are going to be people that are going to tell you, I think you're too old. I think you're too fat. I think you're too skinny. You know, so it happens. I've had it happen to me. It's okay. I
It's
might have cried.
interesting.
I
You're,
might
you're,
have cried.
you're number two, like putting it out there. Like going back to like the stigma of divorce. Like I feel like sometimes people have the stigma of saying I'm single. Like I'm like not that they're afraid to say I'm single, but they're saying I'm single, but I'm looking for someone. Help me. Like out of fear of sounding desperate, right? I feel like sometimes
Mm,
that gets put out there, and you may not be desperate, but you are open to your point. But people don't put it out there because they don't want to sound desperate.
And you know what? The worst question you can ask somebody is, how come you're still single?
Oof.
And let me tell you why that's the worst question. Because I think the more work you do on yourself, the more you really have honed in on what you want and really been laser focused, so that that dating pool gets narrow. And that's what happens. So when you see a great guy, a great girl out there, and you're wondering how come they're still, what's wrong with them? There's nothing wrong with them. They've just been doing a lot of work on themselves. So,
So Maria, I have a problem with your list then,
okay, well,
because HLA has none of it on your none of what you just said
why are you
is
hating?
is a combination of my list
Why
and
are you
SoSo Juv's
hating?
list, but HLS did not hit any of your top five. What's
well, and
going on here? Make
I
it make
You
sense
you
to
don't want to
me.
save that for the goodbye, huh? Okay.
but I can tell you, for those of you that still haven't gotten over your ex, just what you need to do is make sure that you get a voodoo doll, just put all the pins in it, and then just throw it away, and you're done, and you'll get over it.
That's the closure right there.
That's
Well,
it. That's
Yeah,
it.
logical. Get closure on this episode because
Oh, I
I'm
will.
the champ.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
boy,
So,
blind
Maria,
squirrel.
we went ahead and we asked the people what they thought about the topic. And I'm going to go over the people poll. At number 5, we have a prenup by a very special person there. We're going to say shout out to RJ on that one. At number 4, it was a healed self. So coming in, being healed in the relationship. I think trauma in the trauma that you carry or bring, I don't think that gets discussed enough in relationships. At number 3, we had honesty, and we had a nice long conversation about honesty and what that exactly means. At number 2, we had kindness. Just being kind to the person and maybe going to the place of maybe empathy. They didn't say empathy, they just said kindness, so we're gonna leave it under that. And at number 1, it was closure. So kind of along the lines of logical genius. Um, and I guess myself with the leave the ring, I just said it a little bit differently. Making sure that you're ready to kind of move on and have that closure. So that was the people's poll there. Logical genius. Did you happen to ask AI what is going on in their world?
Did. So, Maria, I don't know how familiar you are with AI that's blowing up around the world and ChatGPT.
mhm.
I went to talk to our friend ChatGPT, right? And I asked this question because it's supposed to be some sort of god, really, but it's not. Um, but here at number 5, this is what ChatGPT said: healthy boundaries. So basically, it said establish and respect healthy boundaries, learn from past experiences, and ensure you maintain your independence, interests, and self care. It's important not to lose your sense of self in a new relationship and maintain a healthy balance between we and me. That's number 5. Number 4 is trust and patience. Rebuilding trust in the new relationship can take time. Both you and your partner should be patient and understanding as you work on developing trust. It's essential to give each other the benefit of the doubt and not carry over past insecurities from your previous marriage. Number 3 is emotional resilience. Divorce can be emotionally taxing, so it's important to build emotional resilience. This means being prepared to handle potential conflicts, disagreements, and setbacks without letting the negativity affect your emotional well being. So far, so good from ChatGPT, I think. Number 2 is clear communication. Open and honest communication is vital in any relationship. Be upfront about your past and lessons you've learned. Discuss your expectation, boundaries, and goals for the new relationship to ensure you and your partner are on the same page. And that number 1, according to ChatGPT, is self reflection and healing. Take time to reflect on your previous marriage, the reasons it's ended, and the lessons you've learned from the experience. Healing and self discovery are essential before entering a new relationship to ensure you're emotionally ready. And that is according to ChatGPT.
It's a good list.
Pretty good list.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. So, Maria,
My book too, but not from ChatGPT because I wrote my book 2 years beforehand.
Maybe GPT got it from your book. It has access to everything
yeah.
now.
That's
It
well.
could
Well, Maria, this is actually the part of the show where you get to brag on what you're doing and any projects that you have. So, what's the name of that book that you have in your hand? You can maybe show us.
going from just one to a plus one.
Mm,
So
nice.
yes, and I talk
Nice
about
title.
this thing, and it's a short book, like a Reader's Digest version. So anything to help somebody just getting back out there in the dating world. And actually, what I've been working on is I have a course on how to officiate wedding ceremonies for people that want a side hustle, to have fun, make money, 6 figures. So that's I take them to rock star status
Wow.
because I love what I do. I mean, I do weddings in helicopters. I do them on the big link, the big Ferris wheel. I mean, there's so many so many places you can get married, and they're expecting marriages to be on the rise in 2025 because 2024 is going to be a big engagement season. Just FYI, for telling you.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
that would be interesting.
Yeah.
So I have a course that I coach and I also digitally, and I also get out there and I speak about finding love and bringing more love into the workplace. And those are the things that I talk about. So basically, you talk about kindness and empathy. We need to do that everywhere, not just in our relationships, in our professional relationships, even people that we bump into on the streets. So I think that's something that, with what's going on everywhere around the world, we need more kindness. There's no question about that.
Absolutely. And if people wanted to follow you on social media, what are your social media handles?
True Love Knots, and the Knots is spelled Knots. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on TikTok, and is it Threads
Two.
and pardon, and X now? Is that what the new one is?
X, yeah, X.
Thanks.
I can't follow you. So, but I'm always accessible. And if anybody wants to get in touch with me, they can just go to my site and just send me a message. I've always, I love feedback. I love hearing from people, especially this topic. I mean, everything that you pulled up, whether from the three of what you came up with, what I shared in ChatGPT, and your listeners that gave you feedback. I think you need to just take all of it into account and let it kind of resonate and sit with you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Maria, we are going to go ahead and say goodnight to the people. I'm going to start us off. People, I don't understand. Maria, I thought we were there. You were laughing with me. You keeled over. You gave me nuggets that have changed my life. So I find your decision making to be quite questionable. How am I in third? But you are a judge, and I appreciate you so much for being on this show. Good night, South Africa. Go ahead, Logical Genius. Say good night to the people.
People, I lost, but losing isn't failing to me. It's just another stepping stone to wisdom and success. Maria, thank you for being on the show. You didn't make the logical choice, but I respect your choice, and I will bow down to HLS for tonight.
All right.
Maria,
And
thank you
HLS
so much.
and wait a second.
You know what? You're
Do
right.
you not want me
You're
to
right.
let me
Give
you
me my
your
flowers. Give me my flowers. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Give
let
me my
give
flowers. Give me my
kudos.
flowers.
I don't know if you earned it. You might have Venmoed her, but you know,
Probably.
HLS
There you
and
go.
there you go. There's your flowers. HLS and our champion for tonight. Go ahead and say goodnight to the people.
Good night, everyone. Maria, thank you so much. You and I speak the language of love, the universal language of love. Thank you. You stepped in the right direction. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
And Maria Romano. Please say goodnight to the people.
Good night, everybody. Remember to spread love.